We continue with the topic that we've been talking about, how to meditate. Meditation, just as a brief review, is in two parts. One is samatha part, the other is the vipassana part. Samatha, it's a Sanskrit word, so it's also vipassana. Samatha means stabilization, or some people call it mental stabilization, how to stabilize your mind, because our mind has been wandering off with many, many thoughts in different directions. Now we want to stabilize it, to calm it down so that it won't be roaming all over the place. There's that stabilization, which is samatha. The other part is the vipassana part of it, and vipassana means introspection. And somebody translated it as contemplation, but I think introspection would be a better word for it, introspect, because introspect means you introspect is looking within, looking inside. So it's in two parts, stabilization and introspection. And we already have talked about stabilization. Counting, following, stabilization, the three main topics. And then on the vipassana part of it, on the introspection part of it, we've been talking on introspection itself for quite a while. Because introspection is quite important. Because it's talking about the insight. Some people call it insightful meditation. Insight. When you look at something with insight, you're introspecting it. When you're doing introspection, there are concepts in your mind that you use to introspect. Nobody can think without concepts. We all think in concepts, language is concepts, scientific concepts, philosophical concepts, you name them. We think in concepts. So when we think in concepts, to introspect, we also need concepts. And there are concepts that are wholesome, there are concepts that are unwholesome, there are concepts that are neutral. What are unwholesome concepts? Unwholesome concepts? Being selfish, not compassionate, killing, lying, sexual misconduct. Oh, lots of all these concepts. Egoistic concepts. So you have to introspect with the right concepts. And that's the reason why the Buddha gave out a lot of concepts. We call them Buddhist concepts. And we've been learning all these Buddhist concepts all the time. So we need these good, right concepts, wholesome concepts for introspection. You cannot use unwholesome concepts for introspection. You cannot use selfish concepts to introspect. Otherwise, then you are not altruistic. You're always thinking about yourself. That's not the right concept. And then some people will say, what is wholesome? What is unwholesome? What is your definition? What is good? What is bad? What would be good to you could be bad to me. I'm looking at only money. Money is my concept. And you're not looking at money. You're looking at something like compassion is your concept. I don't like compassion. I like just look for money. If I have money, I can do anything. That's my concept. So what's the definition of a concept? The definition of concepts is how do you define something depends on your perspective of it. How do you look at it? We consider concepts from the perspective of morality. We are looking at those concepts from the wellness of mankind, the values, the true values of mankind, morality. So we look at concepts that way, and many of these concepts, as expounded by the Buddha, concerns morality. So these are the right concepts that we've been using. And we've been talking about all these concepts along, because how can you introspect without concepts? We need the Buddha's teaching concepts to introspect. And then another question comes up. The Buddha has been talking about thousands of concepts. They are contained in the Tripitaka, in the Buddhist teaching. And the Tripitaka contains millions of words. It's like an ocean of concepts. So how can we study all of them? Not to say I haven't got time to study them all. So how do we pick and choose concepts? And then we say, yeah, all these concepts is like an ocean of literature, oceans of concepts. But in order to get the taste of the ocean, you don't need to drink up the whole ocean. How can you drink up the whole ocean? You just scoop up a cup, taste it, and then you know. You scoop another cup and taste it, you know. You scoop up a taste of sunyata, then you know the concept of emptiness. You scoop up a cup of paticca-samuppada, then you know dependent origination. You scoop up a cup of compassion, then you know how do you behave to other people with loving kindness. So you don't need to drink up the whole ocean. You just pick up those important concepts. And those are the concepts that we've been talking about. You must use the right concepts to introspect. Given that as the background, we've been talking about all these concepts, and then we say, in meditation, how do we know that we are doing the right meditation? How do we know that what is in the meditation? How do we feel when we're doing meditation? What's the approach to meditation? For beginners or for people who have never been here before, you probably don't know what we're talking about. I mean, what's jhana? What is meditative? What is kamadattu? You have a lot to catch up with. So we say, in doing meditation, there are levels of meditation. And this level of meditations is progressively. In other words, if you meditate, you may be progressively elevating your meditative levels. And then we say, how many levels are there in meditation? So how do I know that I'm progressing? How do I feel when I meditate? How do I know that I got results? How do I know that I used the right methods? We've been talking about for years. And the 5 meditative elements sort of like summarize all these for us. These are the feelings, these are the causes and effects in there, and these are the methods in there. So let's inquire into it. A quick review, how many levels are there? We start with kamadattu samadhi, and then we meditate, we're doing introspection, we're doing stabilization, and then we go higher and higher, we go up to anagamiya samadhi, which is a higher level. And then we go another higher level to the rupadattu samadhi, and rupadattu samadhi contains the first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, and fourth jhana. And then we go a higher level to arupadattu samadhi, and all these levels. We're going through all these levels. And which level are we now? Which level are we now? Maybe, what's the highest level in this world, in our world? Do you know that there are 3 strata of the universe, if we call it universe? We are living in here. We are the lower level, world with materiality and desire. We're living in this world with materials, materiality. We're looking for materiality. We're always attached to materiality. And we always have these desires that we have, insatiable desires, sensual desires. We're living in here. And for those in the middle of all these desires and materiality, we practice meditation, and the highest meditation you can achieve is kamadattu samadhi. Kamadattu samadhi. And then we go a high level to anagamiya samadhi. There's another level. And then maybe I should just stop a little bit at this point. What do we mean by samadhi? What do we mean by jhana? Do you know what a samadhi is? You arrive at a samadhi. What is samadhi? Samadhi is explained in the common English language. It's a mental equilibrium that is balancing your rational mind with your emotional mind. Our emotional mind, just to put it very simply, our emotional mind is always in control of our rational mind. That's the reason why we get greedy, we get jealousy, hatred, ignorance, you name them. All these because of all this out of equilibrium. And samadhi is arriving at a mental equilibrium, which means that it is at a tranquility of the mind. That is the effect of it. That is samadhi. And this jhana, first jhana, second jhana, what is jhana? In the Sanskrit language, it is dhyana. What is jhana? Jhana is like a measuring unit. It measures your level. Oh, your first jhana level, second jhana level, third jhana level. Measure your samadhi. Measure what level you are at your samadhi. Right now, we're not even in here. Right now, we're not even in first jhana. We're two kindergarten. We're two grade one. We're kindergarten right here. And even kindergarten, have you arrived at Kamadatta Samadhi? How do I know I have Kamadatta Samadhi? How do I know I have Anagamya Samadhi? How do I know I'm in the first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana? How do I know? We will know if we know this. If we know all these, then we know we are what level we are at. The first one is inquiry. The second one is inference, comfort, contentment, and stillness of the mind. These are the elements to understand the method and the effect. And I like to go one step further. A gradual withdrawal of citta and rise to first jhana. Chitta is your emotional mind. So if we are at Kamadatta Samadhi, which is the beginner's level, as we said in beginner's level, these are the elements that you will experience. In other words, you will have inquiry, you have inference, you have comfort, you have mental contentment. In meditation, we said we use anapanasati, the breath, the 3 A's of meditation. You know all those. You really stick to them. You're persistent with them. You're faithful to all these methods, and then you gradually, you would have all these elements. You will experience all these elements in this samadhi. You experience them. And then if you go a higher level, you experience one more. You experience the stillness of mind. In other words, at the lower level, you will have these experiences. But these experiences are initial experiences. And then as you go higher, in the first jhana, these experiences would increase in the first jhana up to the stillness of mind. When you get to the stillness of mind. And then when you go to the second jhana, you don't need inquiry anymore. You don't need inference anymore. You will only have comfort and contentment and stillness of mind. And you go to a third level, then you don't even need the comfort. The comfort is too crude. The comfort is bothering you. The thought of comfort, because to ordinary people, I feel comfortable, I feel content. But when you're at a higher level, even that thought of comfort is bothering you. You want to throw away that thought of comfort. At a higher level, even the thought of contentment is bothering you. It's not good enough. You throw away that thought. So what is meditation? Meditation is not the process of getting. I want to get this. I want to get this. Meditation is the process of getting rid of things. Meditation is not to gain. It's to give up. The more you give up, the more you have, the more you can achieve. The more you want, I want to be a Buddha. I want to have contentment. I want to have stillness of mind. I want to have equilibrium. You're not at it. It's to lose it. It's losing it. Have you heard of Lao Tzu? We have an ancient philosopher in China called Lao Tzu. Lao Tzu, Lao Tzu is the master of the philosophy of reverse efforts. Do you know what is the philosophy of reverse efforts? Wu Wei. Wu Wei sometimes is translated as non-active, which is not the right translation. Wu Wei is reverse efforts. What is reverse efforts? I'm jumping off to something else now. I'm talking about giving up. I'm talking about letting go. And I want to introduce you to a philosophy which is called the philosophy of reverse efforts. Wu Wei. Let me give you an example. When you want to float, you sink. When you just allow yourself to sink, you float. You understand what I'm talking about? Imagine yourself in a riff. You know, you pull into the ocean, and you want to float. You want to struggle. That I want to float. The more you struggle, you want to float. You sink down. But when you don't want to float, you just allow you to sink. All of a sudden, you don't have these hindrances anymore. You don't have this struggling anymore. You're not struggling for desires anymore. You just give up all these things. You're floating. Have you ever had that experience? You learn to give up. The more you give up, the more you want. I want fame, I want money, I want reputation, I want a big house, I want a luxury car, I want a beautiful girlfriend, I want a handsome boyfriend, I want to be taller, I want to be handsome, I want to be beautiful. The more you want, the more problems you have. The moment you hold your breath, you lose it. You know what I mean? So a breath to you, I want this breath, I want to keep the breath. It's so good. I hold my breath. I want to keep it. Then you die. You lose it. You think that you're holding your breath in a secure position. You want to hold your breath. The moment you hold your breath, you lose it. You're going to die. But the moment that you allow yourself not holding the breath, you're letting go of everything, and let it breathe naturally, you live. This is Wu Wei's simple explanation. So in meditation, you're not gaining things. If people tell you, oh, when you do meditation, you'll be healthy, you'll be peaceful, you'll be suppressing your depression, you'll be controlling you're adding on things. The first important giving up in life to achieve an enlightenment or nirvana. You know what that is? The first very important, it's a critical giving up. A giving up that most people cannot do. You know what that giving up is? Renouncing the world and become a monk or a nun in pursuing for enlightenment. There are people who do it. Can you do it? No, you can't. How can I do it? I want a job, I want a family, I want to make money. I'm only 21 and I have all these girlfriends and I want a family, I want a job, I want to make more money, I want, I don't know what you want. How can you give up? But remember 2,600 years ago, there was a man, a prince, who was going to succeed to be the throne, to be a king. He gave up all these. He gave up the luxuries of life. He had been enjoying luxuries of life all his life. He gave them up because he thought that these are not the things I want. These are the things that adding on to my karma, make me unhappy. These are the things that increase my suffering. These are the things that are repulsive to me now. I don't want these things. I'm giving them up, and I'm in pursuit of anuttara samya sambuddhi, enlightenment. So there's a lot to give up. But the major critical point is giving up all these luxuries. That's the first. That's the reason why I say that's a critical giving up. And not many people can give up this. Can you give up? Oh, they have given up, right? But have you, though? Some people give it up only in appearance. They really haven't given up in their mind, in their heart. So we can see some nuns are still attaching to things, some monks are still not attaching to things, but they are already much better off. They're learning, in the process of learning, to give up more, to give up more, to give up more. So I'm talking about giving up. Wu Wei is to not non-active, is the process of giving up. Difficult. If I'm angry, if you're insulting me, how can I give up anger? If I give up anger, it seems to be that you are insulting me and I'm accepting this. That means I'm a coward. How can I give up? How can I give up my self-respect, my dignity? How can I persevere all these things? How can I tolerate all these things? No, I want to oppose, I want to fight. Nobody wants to give up. You're exerting violence on me. I'm going to reject it. I'm going to return my violence to you. A tooth for a tooth, a year for a year. But how can you use violence against violence? You can only absorb the violence. You cannot use violence against violence. It's better to use compassion against violence, loving kindness against violence. We don't even have achieved samadhi, kammadhatu samadhi. We've been doing meditation, and what do we want to arrive at? It's not that we want it greedy to be like that. We want to practice it so that we can get rid of things. When we get rid of things, we must have arrived at a certain point of getting rid of things, right? Then when we get rid of things, when we get rid of all these attachments, we have to experience inquiry, inference. Inquiry and inference, vichara and vitakka, you need concepts to inquire. You need concepts to infer, to draw conclusions. You need the Buddhist teaching, the right concepts to help you to introspect so that you can inquire in the right way, you can conclude and infer in the right way. Don't you think it's important that we know how to inquire, what to inquire, how to draw inferences, and then if we are doing it properly, how come we have comfort of the mind? How come we have, what do we mean when we are there? Let's examine more into the meditative elements to know a little bit more about it. Inquiry. So what's the process of inquiry? It seems that I've been lingering on this for a long time, but I think it's worthwhile. There's no point in jumping and telling you all these words and then I jump into the next idea. No, it's not that good. We don't want to jump to the next topic without really fully understand what's going on. We remember meditation, Buddhism is not just to learn the words, just learn the language. Just learning the language is just looking at the map. If you're always looking at all these maps without taking your first step, can you walk out the forest of suffering? You really need to walk the board, not to talk about it. Talking about it is just attaching to the words. Most of us are only talking about Buddhism, not practicing Buddhism. And that's the problem. And if you take a scholarly approach to Buddhism, that's even worse. You could be teaching Buddhism, and yet you are still very selfish. You could be teaching it, but you're not practicing it. What is inquiry? When we're meditating, what inquiry are we doing? The process of cognizing and querying the meaning of the perceived externalities in the stabilization and introspection of the mind. Do you know what I mean? Or do you know what it means? It contains a lot of information in there. When we are doing meditation, what is involved in our mind? Your mind is still working, right? How does your mind work? Your senses are working. Your eyes, your ears, your nose, your tongue, your body, and your mind, they're all working when you're meditating. Right? Are your senses not working when you're meditating? Your senses are still working. Your eyes, you close your eyes. Does it mean that you close your eyes, then nothing will happen? You close your eyes, but your ears are still working. Your nose is still working. Your tongue, you still have a little bit of taste in your tongue. And in the mentality, when you're meditating, you think of yesterday, so you still have a lot of images in your mind, a lot of visualizations in your mind. Your mind is non-stop. When you are meditating, you are better than when you are actually normally doing your work or interacting with people, but your senses are not yet come down when you're doing meditation. You are in the process of calming down your mind, only in the process of. You haven't been successful. Because look, what have you been meditating actually when I'm going around to see people? You were sleeping. You were sleeping. Or you are thinking of something else. So you're still interacting with externalities when you are meditating. You try to learn not to be affected by externalities. When our senses perceive external objects, your mano interprets the perception, giving meaning to it. Simultaneously, your chitta reacts to the pleasant and unpleasant feelings, leading to emotions. For example, your eyes interact with matter, causing your vision consciousness. You personalize the sensual object arising to sensual desire. But when you're meditating, you're better off because you're closing your eyes. When you're not meditating, when you're walking outside, a man sees a woman, or a woman sees a man, it could be a sensual object, it could arouse sensual desire in their mind, with the eyes. Your eyes see things, you attach to things, you love things, you hate things. But when you're meditating, you're better off. So in other words, a lesson that we learn, every Saturday you come here, at least you have half an hour of time when you are training yourself. You're training your eyes not to attach to externalities. You see the value of coming for meditation? You are going through a session of training in which you don't allow your eyes to be affected by externalities. It's valuable experience. But how many people do it? You did it today. You are trying to get up your senses and trying to know something about your own senses, and don't let your senses to go astray. Usually, normally, habitually, we allow our senses to go habitually into different directions. For example, when you're being insulted, your ears listening to insulting words, you arouse anger in you. When you listen to complimentary words, you feel happy. You react to it with emotions. When your nose pungent smell, you dislike it, or good fragrance, you like it. With your tongue, indulge in meat eating because your tongue likes the taste. Your tongue like the taste of hamburger, steak, beef, ducks, pork. So that's the reason why they kill those animals for you, because you like to buy them. Because your tongue like to taste blood of animal. That's why all your tongue, your body, everything you attach. Your body attached to material luxuries, your mind attaching to past memories, arousing resentment or regret. All these senses, when you are coming for meditation, you learn how to put them under control. Isn't it a valuable experiences? You don't have that training when you're out there. When you're performing your work, when you're interacting outside, you don't have that. But now, every Saturday at least, but when you are meditating in here, do you know that the time is valuable? Don't go to sleep. Don't go to sleep because you're losing your time that you should be training your mind. That's a mind training session. Training your own mind not to be affected by externalities. Your mind has been affected by externalities all the time. The process of cognizing and querying, then when you're being attached to it, you say, no, I shouldn't be. I don't want to be attached by it. I don't want to attach to it. And then at the same time, when you are doing all this cognizing and querying with the right concepts, when you are interacting, you're also drawing conclusions based on the right introspection in the awakening of the mind. All the time you are drawing conclusions in your mind. You may not realize it. You will stigmatize things. You evaluate everything. We've been wearing all these opinionated, tainted glasses to look at things. This is good, this is bad, tall and short, rich and poor. Very dualistic in your evaluation. Putting all your judgment into it, good or bad judgment. You're drawing inferences from it. You're forming your opinions about it. You are doing that even in your meditation. You've been doing that habitually when you are interacting, but you're doing that in your meditation. And just to go a little deeper into just first and second inquiry and inference, this is what we do when we're doing meditation. When you're meditating, a thought comes up, a thought of anxiety, a thought of fear, a thought of guilt, a thought of ignorance, a thought of, I don't know what kind of thought. You have a thought comes up in your meditation. You're not concentrating on your breath now. Alan just said that, okay, we have the 3 A's of meditation. The second is adjustment of the breath. So we are actually putting our focus on the in and out breath. The breath is coming in, going out. So we focus on that, the breath in and out. But most of the time, you're not doing that. You're dreaming away. You're thinking of something else. When you're sitting in there, you're not faithfully following breath in, breath out, breath in. You're not faithfully following as if you are a little minute microscopic monkey stick in your nostril, feeling the air in and out, in and out. You are thinking of many things. You're not following. Most of you, you're not following what Alan has been talking about, this adjustment to the breath. Even if you follow, maybe for the first 1 minute, and then you dream away. You thought about yesterday, you worry about the future, your minds are all over the place, I don't know where they are. Or could be you're sleeping. Your mind is in drowsiness. You are sleeping. Your mind is all over the place. Not even, if it's not in sleepiness, I don't know, you know. Do you know why that you know that your mind is not focusing on the breath? Because you lost it. You don't even know you lost it. The monkey has gone out through everywhere. And then we always have been saying, Oh, I lost my thought. My thought is not in the in and out breath anymore. I lost it. Okay, I pulled it back. Okay, I concentrate again because that's what Alan told me. Okay, in and out breath. I lost it. Okay, no, I'm going to concentrate in and out. We would like you to train your mind into just this breath, and you're not doing it. I know. You're not following it. You just sit there, either sleepiness or wandering your mind away or follow your own way. I don't know what it is. Some people do it like this. Some people do it like this. I don't know what you've been thinking. I don't know. But you haven't been faithfully following the in and out breath, the Buddhist suggestion of Anapana, Anapanasati. You haven't been following it. And that's your habit. You don't need to blame yourself. That's been your habit for many, many lives. And sometimes your thought, it goes to what? Lying, killing, sexual misconduct, you name them. Ignorance, jealousy, hatred, resentment, anger, arrogance. I don't know. What are your thoughts? What are your habitual thoughts? The Buddha said, train your mind using this method, breath. Assuming that your breath goes, your thought goes away. A thought of depression comes up. I feel sad. I feel that I'm useless. I have no value. I just got a divorce. And I have no value. I lost my job. A thought comes up in you. A thought comes up. Maybe it's your meditation, or maybe when you're walking, or maybe, I don't know what you're doing. You just have a thought of depression comes up in you, of a fear, of anxiety. What do you do? According to inquiry and inference that we've been talking about, beware of the arising of such thought. Oh, a thought of depression comes to me. I feel sad. I feel I have no value. Oh, that thought comes up now. You have to distance yourself from that thought and look at that thought. That is inquiry. Can you distance yourself from the thought of committing suicide? I want to take my life. I don't have no value. No. This is a thought of committing suicide. I want to distance myself from that thought and watch that thought coming up. Can you be a third person looking at the thought instead of being involved in the thought? Can you do that? If you can do it, raise your hands. So you can't do it, Can you do that? If you have a thought of committing suicide coming up in your thought, you say, no, this is a thought. I don't want to be involved in the thought. Most people can't do it. A thought of greediness comes up. A thought of anger comes up. I want to yell. I want to fight. I was bullied at school to teenagers. I felt angry. I want to fight back. And then you have the anger coming up. Can you say, this is a thought of anger. I'm not going to be angry. I'm just looking at that anger. Can you do it like that? Difficult. So you be mindful of your own thought. That's what we call mindfulness. If you call it mindfulness. But mindfulness is not a good translation. Learning meditation is to get rid of thought. How can you fill up your mind with thought? Mindful is your mind fill up with something is mindful. So we better say, be aware of the thought, not be mindful of. Mindful is fill up your mind with something, is full. Fill up your mind fully with thoughts. That's not a good translation. It should be just beware of the thought. Watch the thought coming up. So you beware of the arising of the thought of anger, arising of the thought of arrogance, arising of the thought of depression, fear, anxiety. Can you be aware of it? You distance yourself from it and look at the thought. That is what we call in the 5 elements, we call it inquiry. You need to inquire about this. You need to analyze it, investigate it. Don't get involved with it. All right? And then third, you watch the thought with the 4 introspections. Not just be a third person, you want to investigate and analyze the thought with the 4 introspections. What do we mean by the 4 introspections? Let's explain the 4 introspections. How do we watch the thought with the 4 introspection, with analysis? Not to be involved with it, but just watched it and analyzed it and investigate about it. Okay, let's finish it. And a thought of emotion, such as depression, arises in the mind. Immediately you are aware of the arising of such a thought. Distance yourself from it. Don't follow the thought and whisper to yourself, this is a thought of anxiety that is coming up now in me. I must not follow it. I'll let it go away. Can you remind yourself? Whisper, I know this is only a thought. That is to be aware of it now. You're aware of the thought. Most people are not aware of their own ego, aware of their own selfishness, arrogance, jealousy. They're not aware. They just express the thought with emotion. Now, you're not. You want to inquire about it, investigate about it inside. And then you say, watch the thought with the 4 introspections. And then you say to yourself, this is the introspection of the body, right? Now, this thought makes you feel uncomfortable. My heart is beating faster. I feel worried. I feel depressive or angry. I'll let go of the thought, take a deep breath and relax myself. My body reacts to that thought now. My hormones is a little different. My brain is excreting bad hormones into my system, and I feel my heart beat faster. I hate it. I feel unhappy. My heartbeat is fast, and I feel angry. My hormone of anger all is agitated. Then you say, okay, this make me uncomfortable. You whisper to yourself, now this thought make me uncomfortable. I feel worried, I feel depressive. I'll let go of the thought. Take a deep breath and relax myself. This is the body introspection. Body introspection. And then the next is the feeling introspection. The thought of anxiety is just a thought, an unpleasant sensation that has no substance in itself. I must let it go. This is just a feeling. This is not me. I feel angry, but I'm not big up of that anger. This is the feeling in me that comes up now, and why do I attach to this feeling? Why do I make myself angry by attaching, reacting to this anger? This is only a feeling. Why do I identify myself with this feeling? Am I selfish? Am I stupid to say that, oh, I am the anger? This is just a feeling, not you. That's an introspection of feeling. And then the next, this thought is only temporary. It won't stay long. It is not eternal. It comes and goes. Why do I have to remember this when something is coming and going? I shouldn't, right? This is impermanent. And this is the introspection of impermanence. You know that this is impermanent. If I don't attach to it, this thought, this feeling of anger, this feeling of depression, this feeling of confusion is not 24/7. It comes and goes. Why do I have to attach to it? It comes and goes. It's not me. It's impermanent. So is everything is impermanent. This is a thought, introspection of impermanence. Then you say, This thought is not me. I am not the thought. Neither am I the feeling. I must not let it affect me. Let it go. This is the introspection of non-self. How can I identify myself with this depression? This is just a bodily excretion of anger hormones. This is a body sensation of feeling angry. This is fleeting and impermanent and not always existing. And this thought is not even me. Why do I have to identify this thought with me? So these are the 4 introspections that really have to inquire. Remember I talked about the 5 elements? The first one is vichara, which is inquiry. The second one is inference, which is vitakka, inference. So you're drawing the conclusion, no, I'm not going to be depressive anymore because this depression is not me. This fear is not me. Why do I have to identify this with me? So I draw a conclusion. This thought is just a thought. It's not me. Why do I have to suffer from something that is not me? So you're drawing a conclusion, an inference. You remember I talked about the 5 elements? Inquiry and inference? These are the 2 things that work in your mind that you need to analyze it and tell yourself you need to be the mentor of your own troubles. Don't rely on a doctor to tell you, to give you medicine, suppressive, antidepressant to suppress your depression. That only cure the branches and not the roots. You got to throw it away. You got to throw it away. You got to take away the bad roots, not the bad branches. If you don't cure the roots, you can never get it cured. This is not me. Can you do that? So I have finished explaining to you inquiry and inference that works in your mind. Every time when you have a thought coming up, that is how you analyze it and put yourself in the right perspective. And if you train that all the time, what happened? If you're training yourself inquiry and inference, in the Pali language is vichara and vitakka, what comes up? Wonders will come up. You know what wonders will come up? The remaining 3, comfort, mental contentment, mental equilibrium, will all come up.